Hey, and welcome back to another video in the Tiny Tech video series. And as you know by now, this is a series that focuses on bits of technology that can be used in your professional work at the college, one of your classes, of course, and also in your one-on-one work helping students with their technological needs and concerns. So today we're talking about open source audio, and this actually came up in my work with one of our DMA, digital media art instructors who teaches video and audio work at the college. And so I thought it might be a great opportunity to talk to some of you about how you can use open source audio in your own context. So let's jump in now here in the computer and take a look. All right, so I really want to suggest in this video the value of using open source audio. And I have to say up front that some of this actually will relate to some other techniques, because I'm not going to get to the point today about how you might use any audio clips that you gain from various sources on the internet. But down the road, we can have more conversations about that. And actually, interestingly enough, when I type open source audio, one of the best programs called Audacity opened up. And I cannot recommend this enough. It's cross-platform, it's free, and you just download it here. And I literally use Audacity every single day of the week, like 7 days a week. You can bring in a file. You can do some very simple things with that file, including some effects, a range of different effects, EQ, all sorts of other things. You can trim files. So one of the cool things that's really easy to do is I bring in my audio file. This is just a track I recorded. And I can cut bits of my audio like that. And then I can put in, and this is just a timeline of your time, I can put in things like a simple fade. I'm going to a menu that is off screen, and I will just type fade out, and it puts a perfect fade in there such that when I play it, it does a fade instead of the music just cutting off, as you can see here at that point. It would be a very quick and sudden stop as opposed to putting in a fade. So I'm just recommending Audacity as well, because it's really going to help you get the job done in terms of working with any of this free audio that you might discover on the internet that could be very useful, but maybe needs a tweak here and there. So again, I recommend typing open source audio or free audio. You can find great places out there like Free Sound. Some of these might require you to register, and it's not a big deal. They often are not pay to play. Free Sound, though, is a place where you can find any kind of sound. I will do this for my musical purposes. So let's just say I want a string sound of some sort. I type in string, and I'm going to get probably thousands, because that's a very broad category, thousands of different sources and possibilities. So this one is called Orchestra Strings. See if we can hear it. We have to hit the play button. Okay, and we're getting something in. Here's the progression here of the chords. Really nice and soothing chord progressions. And other things you could do with this, the key thing would be to download. Again, it's free. A lot of this is under Creative Commons. And so just log in and download it, and again, that is available for you to use. So you could find like a free theme. If I type in like happy song, I might find something, cheerful song. And then if you like it, you could use that for some of your teaching stuff, maybe just as something that plays ahead of time. If you're creating a video that you're going to upload to YouTube, you have to get around the algorithms that will pull down any kind of copyrighted content. Maybe you want to put a song by Coldplay on your lecture video at the end, but that definitely will get stripped off of YouTube as a copyright violation, and indeed will often get taken down. So if these are Creative Commons, the cool thing is you can use any of them. And so this is an example of that. Okay, that's interesting. It's definitely a happy song. But you get the idea, right? So you can go through and type in anything you might want. They have some tags already available, so there's a lot of meta tagging going on with some of these. I don't know if I'd put that last song in the ambient category. But so Free Sound is a great place to go to find everything from sound effects, Foley type stuff, what they call Foley sound effects, to also anything that might be a full-fledged song that is able to be used. So you can type in other examples. We're not going to go through all these. A second one I'll recommend is the BBC sound effects. entirely free to use. Click on that and you're going to find thousands of different sounds all categorized. So like 3,000 different machine sounds. Very similar to the other one. You hit play. And then you can download that sound as a WAV file or MP3. And the general key is if you want higher quality, avoid the MP3. That has a lot of compression. It's what you hear on, Spotify and a lot of those services. If you get a WAV file, a FLAC, FL, AC, or an AIFF, those are your highest quality. So definitely go for those if you're trying to get good fidelity. If you don't care and it's just some kind of sound you want for whatever purpose, then MP3 is not bad. But WAV files are not that big, not that much bigger than MP3 files. It's not like video files where we get really large when we start thinking about formatting. So anyway, this is totally free to use, and I think it's awesome that they have the entire BBC Sound Archive available for you to use with tens of thousands of different sounds. So probably the next thing you would do after you collect sound effects or theme songs is to think about using those in a video project or a class project. It could even be a PowerPoint. Again, in part 2 of this or down the road, we can talk about it. But one thing I will mention to you is under YouTube, there are actually free tracks available for you to use. And if you check out my longer YouTube video, you can see what these are, but you would just click on the audio library. And they have, I think, somewhere around 1,500 different examples. And so I'll just click on this, Burbank Late Nights, hip hop. And then if I like that, I can download it. Okay, it took me a while to find it. It's downloading as an MP3 file. So if I click that, it'll play both of them. So if you wanted to, you could even use some of those to do remixes if you do any kind of musical remixing. So that's also kind of cool. And there is a way in here, I haven't done it, but you can add it to your video on YouTube, and then they also have sound effects as well. You can see factory background. And these are pretty good. I mean, it's not as many as the BBC and as varied, but pretty good. So probably the next stage of your project is after you have your open source audio, you then think about how to add these to class projects. I know when Solange was teaching one of her video editing classes, she had students using Foley sounds and background sounds to add to their projects. So it's another opportunity to think about how you might use these. And by the way, in Audacity, you can actually do multiple tracks. So you can layer a ton of sounds on top of one another in such a way. Let's see if it lets me do it here. Yeah, so these likely would play. Let's try this. These are going to play at the same time. It's going to sound really crazy. Let's just go here. Hold your ears. So obviously that's pure cacophony, but the point I'm trying to make here is if you were doing something for a class project, as a student teaching this to your students, you could download a number of these Foley sounds. And the cool thing is, let's just do it real quick. And what I'm thinking specifically is you could start to delete and do some really crude edits here. I'm not going to show you this, but we'd have to make an adjustment to insert some silence here. But in any case, you could move. I don't know if it'll let me drag it. I can cut audio there and move things around. But what I'm trying to get at is you could create almost a little audio collage here just using the free open source Audacity and some of these free sound effects from the BBC, from free sounds, the other side I showed you, and of course from YouTube. So the next stage would be creating some kind of musical or video project. And again, we can talk offline in more depth about this later. But I wanted to introduce to you the idea of free open source sound and also free open source sound editing with Audacity in case it might come up in your class work or maybe your students' work in some of their class projects. Okay, so that's it today, talking here about using open source audio in your various projects. Hopefully this is a useful video for you. If it's applicable, as always, reach out with questions or concerns, and I'll be back with additional videos in the Tiny Technology video series.